From the land of conjurers, flying through the internet to your device like a UAP, hauntingly unexplained and downright weird. This is the witching hours, and we are ready to take off in the flash of an eye. Good evening to one and all, wherever and whenever you are listening to this program. I am Jonathan Frost, and joining me, as always, is the medium Jenny Lee. How are you doing, Jenny?
I'm okay.
Yeah,
It's the 100th episode.
it is the 100th episode.
Crazy.
100 episodes.
How did we get here? We need to play the Talking
Um,
Head song.
the Talking Head song. Yeah.
That's seems to be life since 2020 anyway.
Yeah. So welcome
How did
in.
I get here?
Yeah. Welcome in, everyone. So happy that you could join us tonight. Settle in, grab the best beverage of your choice because we're going to have a fun evening tonight, and we're going to celebrate 100 episodes. Um, you know, I've I guess we can talk a little bit about how this thing started. Um, I you know you were doing your streams. You'd been streaming for a while, maybe about a year.
Yeah.
Had it been that long?
Yeah, I
Um,
think well, yeah, I think so.
and I was still kind of messing around, streaming some video games and stuff like that. And I said, I would like to kind of do a stream where I just had people on them and had friends or something on, and we talked about paranormal stuff, uh,
Mhm.
fringe science, aliens, mediums, Bigfoot, cryptids, time travelers, vampires, whatever those interesting things are to talk about. Um, and originally, my idea, and I still have the background in my Streamlabs that I created for it, I think, was the symposium.
Oh
That's what it's
yeah.
going to be.
Forgot
It's
about
going
that.
to be the symposium. And then we started talking about me and you doing it together, and then we decided to do it, which originally this started streaming on your Twitch channel,
Mhm.
Medium Jenny Lee, and here we are. I think we were like, wow, we got like 2 or 3 episodes in. This is crazy.
I think for the
Maybe we'll
first
get a couple
10, I
more
was
in.
like, for the first 10, every time I was like, oh, here we are again.
Here
We're
we
doing
go
another one of
again.
these.
And well, now we've hit episode
Now I
100.
can say, oh, here we are again. It's the 100th episode. We're doing another one.
and and I guess the first thing I need to say is that we wouldn't have 100 episodes if it wasn't for all of you in chat tonight. Because if you've never done it before, it's not fun streaming alone, and it's not fun having a conversation with yourself. Well, maybe it can be fun having a conversation with
Depends, I
yourself,
guess.
but this show wouldn't be as fun to do if we didn't have all you wonderful people hang out with us each and every week. So many in here, week after week after week, and we appreciate all of you for being here. No matter how many shows you've watched, whether you've watched one or whether you've watched 100, thank you so much for giving us your time because that is a precious commodity. It's one of the things
Mhm.
I think we want to talk about on the show is time
Time.
and what's going on with time. But giving us your time is probably the most important thing someone can give up. So I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with me and Jenny and giving us your time and asking wonderful questions of all of our guests and all of the things. And we're looking forward, hopefully, to another 100. So thank you to all of you who are in chat now or who are listening on the podcast later, because we do have some folks who catch up over the podcast over on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts and all those wonderful things. So thank you to each and every one of you who've listened week after week. Thank you so much. Speaking of that, I found an interesting thing the other day. I was going through, I was just scrolling through my Facebook feed, I think it was. and I found an article, and it was like the top 50 or 60 paranormal
70. Top
paranormal
70.
Yes, okay. It was over, I have the website that I had pulled up, because I and it just happened to be on my feed. Million Podcasts is the name of the, thing, and they were gonna list the top, podcasts for all the paranormal and ghost hunting field, and I wanted to see what some of my friends had made it in there, or some of the podcasts that
Mhm.
I listened to, and then I got down to number 48, and there was The Witching Hours, so
And that was us.
I was like, "What? How did we even get in there?" Like
48 out of 70.
so there we go.
We made the list.
Um, not too bad once again for just, starting a little thing that we wanted to do to talk about cool things. So I guess once again, thank you for that as well. And I think Keisha put in chat, we gotta pump up those numbers in Discord. I think. So maybe next year we can get even higher. But I was totally enthused just to be on the list. So thanks again. I guess there'll be lots of thank yous tonight. So just be ready
Yes.
for them. All right. Um, we were supposed to have this last week, and our
Mhm.
guests were absolutely wonderful. We didn't have a show planned for next week, so we were able to move tonight, last week to tonight, and tonight to next week. So we won't be missing a week for shows. Um, I had kind of an issue with my eye last week, so we weren't able to do it.
It's a
And
reoccurring issue.
yeah, and so everything is fine now. We also had a little bit of an issue with identity theft this week. So I'm not going to go into the whole story. I've talked about it a little bit on Discord, but I do want to say I feel like I should take the opportunity for whatever megaphone or microphone I have with this program. Um, I'm kind of a tech guy. I'm not a programmer or anything, but I'm heavily into tech. I guess you would need to start a podcast, but I just want to put a warning out there. It can happen to you because I never thought it could happen to me. I thought it couldn't. That I knew what was going on, but it did. So if you're out there, make sure you do what you need to do. All the things people say about passwords and stuff like that, and it's definitely worthwhile to go out there and make sure all your stuff is shirt up. So if you can take 15 minutes, make sure that you're good to go because once you're in the middle of it, it is no fun. It is no fun. So anyway, that's what we had going on this week. And so I'm excited to be here tonight to be able to have some fun and relax and celebrate a little bit. So, all right, Jenny. First thing tonight, we ready to get into some news?
Of course.
All right. First story tonight is UFO fears across the UK as mysterious spinning orb spotted in the sky. Residents across the UK were left scratching their heads on Monday evening. This is back on March 24th when a spinning orb lit up the night sky. The spiral anomaly led to speculation of a UFO sighting, with some saying their kids were freaked out after spotting it overhead.
You posted a picture of this in Discord, right?
Yeah, I put a picture in Discord for sure. So if you're interested, you can check that out over on Discord.
It was pretty cool looking. Oh, you're muted. Hello? Hi. Was it me? You're muted. Is he still reading? Can you guys hear me? You guys can hear me, but you can't hear Frosty. Okay. Can't hear you. Wah, wah, wah. Oh, Lewis was typing it as I was saying it. Womp, womp. Always something. Always some kind of technical difficulties. Nope. Mercury goes direct on Monday. Okay, good. Sing us a song. What's the problem? Hey, man, what's the problem? How come it ain't working? Ay, ay, ay. We'll have to cut this part out later. Snippity snip. It'll be a long podcast waiting for Monday. Right about that, CMC. Oh, now it's just me. It's just me. All by myself. I'm not really by myself because our guests are in the background. But, you know.
All right. Is that any better?
There we go. Now it's working.
We had this issue before. One of our guests, I can't remember which one it was, had to completely leave and come back. That's what I
Yeah.
heard.
I don't know.
So where we leave off at?
You were saying, I was saying that you had posted a picture of the spirally anomaly, sky anomaly in the Discord server.
Yeah.
And I said it was pretty cool looking. And then that was it. That we just watched you trying to read your lips for about 2 minutes.
It was pretty interesting. Lots of pictures were taken, images and videos were shared online from all different places in Great Britain, Lancashire, Yorkshire, Greater Manchester, all over the UK. The enigmatic orb sighting coincided with the launch of SpaceX's US spy satellite on Monday, March 24th, and which people are saying make it a likely explanation for the occurrence. Launching aboard a Falcon 9 rocket from Florida's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station after. So essentially what they're saying is...
But hold on a second. So the SpaceX spy satellite gets launched in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But these sightings were in the UK.
Well, you got to remember, when you go to space, you get pretty high up, and then all of a sudden you become visible.
I realize
a lot of different places. Yeah.
But some don't add up there.
Well, it goes... so they said this is not the first time a spiral like this has been seen and caused a stir. This happened over regions of the U.S. following a SpaceX rocket took off in California.
Yes, in the
it says so the explanation that they're giving is that when the rocket conducted a venting process for the excess fuel, it formed a frozen plume that caught sunlight, leading to the visual anomaly known as a spiral anomaly. And I guess if we wanted to, I can, for those who want to be able to see it, I do have a picture of it. So I can go ahead and...
I mean, I understand all that, and that makes sense, but I don't know. I don't know. Something about it isn't adding up for me.
So there we go. That's in our Discord. I have some other pictures of it if you want to take a look, but many pictures were taken like that, and they all look very much the same, just from different places and different perspectives, and the size of it changes a little bit. So the explanation is that it was venting gas. I don't know if that's a good explanation, but
CMC said the spirals have been seen above the Vandenberg Air Force Base in California.
Yeah, U.S. Air Force Missile Base. So there we go. Something to keep an eye out. If anybody sees any more things like that, or news stories of people seeing things like that, feel free to pass them along. Story number 2 was that a UFO above this Florida town the week before, last Saturday, Shape-shifting object has some wondering. A shape-shifting, slowly turning object hovered high above Green Cove Springs on Saturday afternoon, leaving many to speculate about it. The morphing black object was high above US 17. At times, the shape was like a spacecraft, while it also looked like a turtle shell, a ball inside with
Turtle.
a white outline that almost looked like a mouth and teeth. Naval Air Station Jacksonville announced recently that it would be conducting training exercises beginning Saturday, March 22nd. NAS Jacksonville advised nearby residents that there would be an increase in aircraft activity and noise. However, the hovering object above Green Cove made no noise that could be heard from the ground. And I guess I have a picture of that too. So we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and share that as well. The picture of
the shape-shifting.
The shape-shifting here. So I thought it was interesting enough to put this in here. So there we go. There's a pretty clear picture.
That's Shadow Max was making a joke about the other one being a toilet coming to flush the economy. That one could be a toilet or a trash can. It's a flying trash can with a black balloon in it.
You know, a lot of the things that I was seeing in there was talking about like drones, but I mean,
this is not really good looking thing that makes no sense to my brain.
It doesn't look like it would be aerodynamic, you know, like
it's a trash can lid with the trash bag flying out of it. Was there a tornado that day?
I don't know. But anyway, I thought those were interesting sightings. Not easily explained when I was looking at them. One that story number 3 is one that Jenny shared with me. The largest fully preserved dinosaur claw unearthed in Mongolia's Gobi Desert. With distinctive 2-fingered claws, the remains of a previously unknown species of dinosaurs suggest it looked like a bizarre mix of a sloth, giraffe, and cult movie hero Edward Scissorhands.
So what do we call this one?
To new research.
Sloth, giraffe, Edward Scissorhands. Okay.
There we go. Well, they got the name, but they got the name, but I ain't going to be able to pronounce it. Paleontologists unearthed a fossil in Mongolia's Gobi Desert, and the find is unique because the sheath of one of the digits is intact. Made of keratin, the sheath reveals that the claw itself was much longer than the underlying bones, which, of course, keratin is like our fingernails.
Mm-hmm.
It is the largest claw of its kind, found fully preserved in this way, researchers say. It's close to a foot in size, said paleontologist Darla Zelinsky, an associate professor at the University of Calgary in Canada, and co-author of a study on the discovery published in the journal iScience. This is by far the biggest claw preserved for a dinosaur that has keratinous sheath on it. The dinosaur has been given the scientific name Duonicus sukbatari in honor of Mongolian paleontologist Kishijef Sogbatar. The genus
name. This is like me trying to pronounce stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's a lot of vowels.
Sloth, giraffe, Edward Scissorhands sounds like it's easier to say.
Besides grasping, the 2-fingered hands may have been used for display as a formidable weapons. They weren't predators, but they could defend themselves with those claws. They were very big and very sharp. So, new species of dinosaur.
They're making veggie shish kebabs with their giant claws.
And then the news this week, we talked about this on the last show. We had it in the news, a study that had found something underneath the pyramids.
So why don't we go ahead and bring our guests on? Because we wanted to talk about this together, right?
Yeah. Well, let me read the story and then we'll bring everybody on. So scientists who found the hidden city beneath Egypt's Giza pyramids revealed data that proves the find. So I guess we'll catch us up for those who didn't catch the last news story. They were doing some kind of study to find what was underneath the pyramids. Everyone was assuming that it was like ground penetrating radar, which is what we talked about. CMC mentioned in that episode when we were talking about the news that ground penetrating radar doesn't go down very deep.
No.
This study that's been done and the research has been put out says that there were giant columns that reach deep into the earth underneath the Great Pyramid. So as the debate over what lies beneath Egypt's Giza pyramids continues, the scientists at the center of the dispute have shared new details they believe will silence critics. The row began when Italian researchers said they used radar pulses to map more than 4,000 feet below the Khafre pyramid, finding enormous shafts, chambers, and a possible vast city. Independent experts claimed the technology could not reach such depth, deeming the findings as unscientific and outlandish. Filippo Biondi, who specializes in radar technology, told DailyMail.com, which is where I got this news from, most convinced that we are using radar to scan below the earth, and that is completely false. He explained they collected acoustics from deep in the ground, including seismic waves, noise from human activity, and photon interactions to map the newly found shafts and chambers that extend more than 2,000 feet below the surface. Biondi said there were waves were collected by radar, specifically by analyzing Doppler centroid abnormalities, shifts or distortions in frequency patterns used to detect underground structures or changes. Now, Professor Lawrence Conyers, a radar expert at the University of Denver, who specializes in archaeology and is not part of the study, is raising questions, saying that the information he saw from this research to him was all gobbledygook. But this has taken the paranormal world by storm. This is all anybody's been talking about on the feeds I've been watching this week. Right before I got on, Graham Hancock had posted something about it. And Mr. Hancock had said that he wasn't ready to give his opinion yet, but one of his colleagues had released a pretty in-depth analysis of it. So it's something that a lot of people are talking about, and we're going to talk about it tonight. And that was the weird news. All right. So we have two people we're going to bring on tonight. One is we're going to have to get to our monthly moon update. So we're going to have Alyson, the Priestess of Wonderland, on to give us our moon update tonight. And we are also going to have Mark Hunter Brooks, the author of the book Earth's Hidden Reality, has had numerous and spiritual experiences since 2003 that have profoundly changed his worldview. Today, he writes and speaks about the mechanics of the non-physical world, helping make what many consider to be mystical easier to understand. Professionally, Mark Brooks managed multiple IT and business projects for a Manhattan-based Fortune 100 financial services firm. He has an MBA from New York University. Everyone, please welcome Alyson, the Priestess of Wonderland, and now 5-time guest, Mark Hunter Brooks. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
You guys are already better
Let
off
me
than
take
me
a
'cause
sip
your
of-
audio is working.
Let me take a sip of my witching hours cup. But you can purchase from online, right?
Well, I was just thinking, if you're a 5th-time guest, we need to get you a bathrobe like they have on SNL.
yeah. Well,
That's
that's why we have the special mug made.
Yeah.
But it has seemed to have gotten lost in the Mercury retrograde.
Yeah. Keisha had made a really cool design for a special guest, the Loyal to the Foil. And we used that. So we got a Loyal to the Foil mug coming your way, or being resent, Mark, coming your way. Alyson, I don't know how many. I think you're probably up in the dozens at this point. So we're doing
She's
okay.
She's just like a co-host. Wait.
Yeah.
She's even co-hosted the show twice.
I have my Loyal to the Foil shirt.
You do.
Yeah.
So I guess let's start with you, Mark, and then I want to see what you think, Alyson, about, well, either one of you. What do you guys think about this pyramid news?
Well, there was a photograph on Medium Jenny Lee's Funny Haha site by CMC Airboss, and I trust CMC exclusively. And he showed the world that it was built by, the pyramids were built by IKEA. So I think the smoking gun is to find the IKEA directions to building the pyramids. And I think if you do that, then you've solved everything.
There we
Okay.
go. Is the audio coming through clear for you, Jenny?
It's breaking up a little bit.
Okay, Mark, I think we're having some issues with StreamYard tonight. If I could I
Okay.
get you to exit, leave the studio and then come back in, and I'll bring you right back in. See
Sure.
if that fixes your hiccup, just like it fixed mine, hopefully.
Sure.
Is my audio okay?
Your audio's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, his is coming in. It was just
His
coming
was
through a bit glitchy.
like literally hiccuping.
Yeah, and I think it was
Frosty's
speeding it up
just
because it
stopped.
made it a little bit more faster. So
Yeah.
hopefully that'll fix it.
Yeah, but
yeah.
CMC, we all trust you. So the fact that you put up that pyramids built by IKEA, like
There we
yeah.
go. If it was that easy, right? If it was just that easy,
Oh, it's
just
just the
leave something on
Swedish.
there. Let us know what happened.
It's just the Swedish built the pyramids.
So you said you were keeping up with that news a little bit. You were wondering what the news was. Any updates?
I struggle with finding actual news, so I get all of my news from you. So I was saying I was waiting. I was waiting to hear what you guys said about it.
So some of this information that I've seen is talking about the fact that there could be like 8 cylindrical tubes, hollow tubes that are giant, that reach down really far underneath the pyramids.
Well, that sounds
So
like a transport device, like Star Trek.
yeah, or my thought that the thought that I'm having, if this exists, if they have found these cylinders underneath the pyramids, these giant cylinders, then the idea that the pyramid was something that could produce power, I think
Right.
that would bring more. I think that could be something where you have something that's going up through the cylinders into the pyramid like a focal point. I have no clue, but it is very interesting. How are you doing, Mark? Talk for us. Let's see if we can-
How's this? Is that better?
You are
It's
100%
back to
better.
normal.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
StreamYard's just having a hard time today, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. So IKEA, very possibly. Although I don't know if anything made by IKEA could last that long. So I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know if hey, and I'm the Scandinavian guy. So no. I've never, but anyway. Do you have any thoughts on it, Mark? So we were talking about these cylinders that could possibly they're finding underneath the pyramids.
I did see that, and I think skeptics are going to be skeptical no matter how much stuff you show them. So there could be validity to it. I've actually read some stuff a few years ago that talked about a city underneath the pyramids, so the columns or the cylinders wouldn't be unusual. But some people on YouTube already dissing the findings. So I think people are going to be skeptical until they're confronted with stuff, undeniable evidence like a IKEA directions form, to where they can't argue about it. It was the same thing with the Big Bang Theory. Until they had the cosmic microwave background, there was a lot of resistance to it, and then people just kind of shut up.
Yeah.
And so I think it'll be the same way. But I think there's something that needs to be followed up on. I agree with you there. And I saw the pictures of the cylinders, and they did look interesting.
Hmm.
It's it brings a lot of stuff to mind that Graham Hancock has talked about too.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's a city underneath the pyramids, how old would that city have to be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't dug out, like if you're talking about like layers, going back through archaeology, then you're talking about something that could be massive,
Right.
just unimaginably old.
Well, there's been so much talk over such a long period of time that there's things under the pyramids and under the Sphinx that when we found it, it would kind of change everything for us. So the fact that they found something, regardless of the accuracy of whatever it may be,
Mhm.
is is interesting.
And we're at the mercy of the antiquities groups,
Yes.
Mhm.
there too in Egypt, because they've blocked off certain passageways in the pyramids. They've, which may be for valid reasons too.
Yeah.
We've
Mhm.
got to hand that to them. But we're at their mercy for what they choose to release.
Yeah, you're right about that. Anything that happens, the minister of archaeology there, like anything very protective, which is understandable, like you said, so
Mhm.
much was stolen from Egypt
Yeah.
that you
Mhm.
can understand why they're very protective of their findings. But on the other hand, a discovery like this, it's so easy to say, well, it's just gobbledygook, that it's not real, it's fringe
Was that
science.
actually was that actually in the news article, gobbledygook?
It was. That's what the
He
guy
specifically called it. That's the
gobbly
scientific term.
Yeah.
I can show you the story. It
I
actually
don't need
has
to
the
see it.
term gobbledygook. That's what he's saying about well, not the radar findings, but like the seismic waves and stuff.
Yeah.
He said that
Mhm.
the data was gobbledygook.
Yeah.
That he didn't see what they saw in it. But
That's the
a lot of
scientific
people,
term for BS, I guess.
this information has been released. And so a lot of people have been able to look at that information
Mhm.
and they're jumping on board. People who were skeptical a week ago are now becoming very curious.
Yeah.
CMC was saying it could be the underground structures could be just supports
Hmm.
for the
Very well.
pyramids themselves.
That's very true.
Yep.
Well, why would they be hollow if they were supposed to be supportive?
Good question.
They're massive.
So that was
I don't know, Allison, but I mean, the only thing that popped into my mind when you said that was because they're so massive to build them, you would think if you hollowed them out that it would be, I mean, I don't know what technology they had to work with to be able to put 4,000 feet tall cylinders into, well, whatever that landscape was, whenever that was built, because who knows how old they
Mm.
are. Probably not the desert. I don't know. But it's very interesting. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. And there's two ways I feel like it could go. One could be the idea that there was something going, that they're not supports, that there was something moving through those cylinders into the pyramid, like
Mhm.
focus, whether that was creating energy or whether that was
Mhm.
focusing some kind of beam or something like that. Or like you said, a support, because there's supposedly also evidence of a city. So they're keeping the above ground from collapsing down. I don't know. I have no clue.
Yeah, I think it's good that they got this test out there. While the test is innovative, getting it out there gives it some credibility in the long run, because now as people do more and more tests with that adds to the accuracy and validity of what they found. And it was reminding me of, do you know Chladni plates, where you pour sand or salt on a plate and then hit it with a vibration and it
Yeah,
goes.
I've seen that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Ernst Chladni, who was a physicist, his father wanted him to be an attorney, but after his father died, he went back to science and got a physicist's PhD anyway. He wrote a paper on meteorites, and in the 1700s, people thought meteorites were ejections from volcanoes. And he spent 3 weeks in a university library researching and came up with a number of different eyewitness accounts of meteorites. And he concluded, based on the distances that the meteorites traveled and what the eyewitness report said, that the speed of those meteorites were faster than anything that could come on Earth. And his paper, or it was really a book, was dismissed and ridiculed. And, same thing here. But it put a stake in the ground so that, 2 years later, when they had some more meteorites, there was a scientific group that said, well, we're going to get to the bottom of this. And they used his paper in the background research. And that led them to do a study of the iron in the meteorites. And they found that the iron globules that were in the meteorites couldn't have been produced on Earth. And that's what led them to start thinking that it could come from off planet.
wow.
So
Yeah.
the same thing with the pyramids. This study may be ridiculed and dismissed, but it's a stake in the ground. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, pretty much every scientific discovery or thought that goes against the normal has always been like that.
Right. And I want to put a plug in for the scientists too. Is that's their job, is to be skeptical,
Yes.
and they say they don't believe something until they try dozens of times to disprove it and fail, and it's only after they can't prove that it's wrong that they start believing that it may be true.
However, they could be nicer about it. You know,
That's
maybe
true.
they should be like, that's interesting. We'll look into that instead of being like, we're going to burn you at the stake.
There you go. There's a lot of historical
I think
significance
Luce
there.
is wondering if it was a boat house, a beach house. It would have been still for a
Ooh.
water view.
Ooh, that's the best answer. That's
Yeah.
the best answer. I love
The
it.
Nile was really big.
That's right.
It was a beach house.
I think somebody ought to do a paper on that one. You ought to say those columns were really for a beach house. And
For a beach house.
Yeah.
that's very creative. I love
Maybe
it.
it's because we just went to the beach thinking about beach
Yeah.
houses.
I saw CMC said he was fascinated by the spirals around the column, though. I feel like CMC, we were kind of on the same page in the last show that it was like, let's kind of see ground penetrating radar, not the most reliable. I'm going to take it by your comments, and feel free to let us know in chat, CMC, but I'm taking it you're more interested in this story now, or think that maybe this story has a little bit more legs after the latest findings. Let us know in chat.
Yeah, once we realized it wasn't ground penetrating radar, that it was other things.
Because I was kind of the same way. I'd kind of like, it's an interesting story, but I was kind of willing to kind of like write it off a little bit. Like, let's see what else we get from it. But I'd kind of put it on the back burner. And then sure enough, a couple days later, all of a sudden my feeds were blowing up, and there's all kinds of YouTube videos, and everything's going crazy with it.
So is what we thought the technology, what we thought was radar technology, is that what Graham Hancock was using, or what they showed on the Graham Hancock show, the aerial sonar?
Oh, that's a good question.
Is that what we were
that's
thinking?
LiDAR. That's
LiDAR.
And that's a little bit different, because that's like taking a map of. I'm not an expert on this, so if I'm wrong, let me know. But the way I think that works is you take basically video from above the ground, like from an airplane or a helicopter, and then it can basically use the processing power to find structures by shapes to be able to kind of removes the trees
Light
and
mapping,
brush and stuff like that.
said.
Light mapping.
Yeah, and so then you're able to kind of see shapes that you couldn't see because it was covered by trees.
Right.
Which they've used that a ton in like South America and Central America to find lost period. Like they're finding all
The
kinds
jungles.
of ancient cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go mess with them mosquitoes and snakes. Let's just get the LiDAR going.
Or what was that we saw the other day? The giant otter.
Oh yeah. Did you guys know that there's a giant otter that's like 5 foot tall and lives in South America?
Mm-mm.
It's terrifying.
And all
It's
of them,
like our really tall daughter stood up next to the picture of it, and it was as tall as her. So really, it was like taller than.
like 5.
It was like almost 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
Was that at the aquarium?
Yeah. And all of them are super cute.
That one would be
more the
scary.
giant otter.
Yeah. I mean, it's still cute, but a human-sized otter is a little bit terrifying.
Yeah.
Lou said,
Anyway.
not for a beach house, for flooding purposes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, on the Nile, it could have
Okay.
been a
Could have
beach
been
house.
flooding. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be cool to see if other things come from this, or if things. My thing is that it could go two ways, where it's not what they say it is, and we don't hear any more from it about it,
Mm.
or it's exactly what they say it is, and we don't hear any more about it.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
my guess is. Either way, we probably won't hear anything else about it.
Well, I think Mark made a good point earlier. Even if there's enough evidence to be like, okay, let's do this. What are you going to do? They're not going to let anybody dig.
No.
Mm.
Can't
So,
dig under the
and
pyramids.
plus, you can't. Well, plus, I mean, I don't know if you could dig under the pyramids. I mean, you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have the pyramids fall apart just to find out there was some false reading. You know, you can't do
Yeah.
that. So I don't know what you would do, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
They need to go to the basement of the pyramid, find the trapdoor.
There you go.
I'll take the elevator.
Well, there's
like a-
another thing.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the Alamo's basement.
I mean, what if
Anyway.
what if the pyramid's the front door and you can get down to the city below the pyramid through the pyramid?
Mhm.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
You got to go to the basement and find the door.
Yeah.
There was something, I think, with the Emerald Tablet that talked about a hidden city underneath the pyramid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
if you listen to some stuff on the Emerald Tablet.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's so many different there's so many different things that have said that there's stuff under there. It's got to be something to it.
All right. Well, yeah. If you feel free on the Discord, if you find any information, any news stories pop up, anything you think is interesting, videos, people talking about it, feel free to post it over there. And I will try to keep that on my radar as I look through news to make sure if there's any new news that we don't let it go by.
Or on your LiDAR.
Yeah.
Keep it on my LiDAR. There we go.
Your LiDAR. Hey, guess what? It's April. Alyson, what's going on with the moon for April? Please tell us there's something good coming.
I know.
There is something good coming because
yay.
was March not the dumpster fire that I said?
Oh, God.
Oh, it absolutely was.
It just ended on like such a horrible note. So yes, your
And it
dumpster fire
all of our
prediction was
mess
correct.
happened in March. Yes.
Right.
Mm,
So we're still on fire a little bit because
okay.
the sun, Mercury, Venus, Chiron, and Neptune are all still in Aries, which is a fire sign.
Mm-hmm.
Still on fire.
Oh, Gizmo.
He's on fire. He's stopped rock and roll.
He fell into the dumpster fire. Look out, Gizmo.
So, we had our Aries eclipse technically March 29th. So that kind of exploded the end of the month, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But the good news is April feels really good. April has Mercury going direct on April 7th, which is Monday. So
Yay.
that is going to help us communicate better, help the technology start settling down, and it's still going to be in Aries, but it's going to go direct. So it's like you might actually be like quick thinking because Aries is like jump starting and it's the spring sign and it's like being like mentally aware, mentally on top of things. And so having it going backwards makes everything discombobulated. So now it's going direct April 7th. The following
that pretty much explains how I've been feeling, discombobulated. Yeah, that's exactly it. So that should be over soon.
It's kind of like you have it on the tip of your tongue and you're like, but you can't get the words out. And then next week, April 12th, we have a Libra full moon, which the Libra is the scales of justice and balance. And so if everything is exploded in March and is up in the air, everything's with a Libra full moon, it can kind of like settle down. If like your scales ended up like this in March, a Libra full moon can kind of balance it back out again.
Return to bobulated is what Cynthia said.
Not that gobbledygook. Yeah.
I don't know what the opposite of gobbledygook would be. The same day as the Libra full moon, Venus goes direct. So Venus is also in Aries, but it was retrograde, and this affects not only just like your relationships with people, but just your relationship with everything. So I mean, it can be romantic relationships, family relationships, friends. Your relationship to spirit may have changed, your relationship to your work or your home life, or just like your interaction with the world may have been reevaluated during that time. So it's going direct the same time as the Libra full moon, which is really kind of beautiful because Libra is ruled by Venus.
Mhm.
So we're kind of coming back, not just to balance, but like heart-centered, coming back like to center.
Keisha said rebobulate.
Rebobulate.
Rebobulate, yeah.
There we go. We're just inventing words over here.
We always do.
So this is halfway through April, and it's still a lot of fire because even though Mercury's direct, Venus is direct, they're both not moving into Taurus, the earth sign, until May and June.
Okay.
And then April 18th, Mars is finally moving out of Cancer, which it's been in Cancer when it was retrograde a couple months ago. And Cancer is the crab, and people are kind of, when we have all this Aries volatile energy, Cancer in Mars is kind of grumpy. It's like crabby, grumpy, nothing's going right, everybody's frustrated. So with it moving into Leo, that brings more of this, again, kind of centeredness, because Leo's the lion and the leader, and like can direct and delegate and kind of come from a more centered place.
These all
I'm
sound
happy
like
that it's
things
moving.
that we need.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm happy that it's moving out of Cancer. And then April 19th, the sun moves into Taurus. So this is kind of dampening down that fire a little bit finally. And slowly, like I said, Mercury is going to follow, Venus is going to follow into Taurus. And Taurus is also ruled by Venus, which again brings us back to center in our heart, back to the earth with our feet on the ground. If everything exploded and you're flying through the air, you put your roots back down. And so that's the start of the sun in Taurus season, April 19th. And then the following week, April 27th, will be our Taurus new moon and starting off the Taurus moon cycle. So which is all the same themes that I just mentioned, getting grounded, getting centered, ruling from your heart. Aries is very much like jumping off the finish line and starting and spring and is in a rush to get places. Taurus is like, slow down, let's chill, take one step at a time, slow and steady wins the race. And it's just more slower moving. They're just like so grounded and so centered that they're not like all over the place like Aries. So beginning of the April is starting off. We still have all this fire going on, but it's slowly going to trickle down to more grounded and earthy energy by the end of the month.
It sounds good. Is there anything that we need to look out for, though, with all the changes?
I think we're just going to feel this relief, especially by the full moon. I think we're going to feel that balance again. We do have larger planets or major planets moving in May and June, which like Neptune changed signs for the first time in 12 years at the end of March. Jupiter's going to change signs. Saturn's going to change signs, but it's not as like big and volatile as like March was.
Good.
Yeah.
This March was definitely exactly what you said. Dumpster fire.
I feel like it was very like it's been right on, Alyson, because we're coming out of the winter. It was very sluggish. Like, and I know my energy was that way. It was like I just couldn't get going. And now I've been very motivated, like coming out. Like I've been wanting to do lots of stuff. Everything's been moving. But it's like when you first wake up in the morning and like you're kind of like bumping into the wall and like you trip over that and like you want to get going, but nothing seems to be moving right. So maybe by the end of the month, everything will be moving right.
It does feel like that like you're bumping into the wall. It's like everything got shifted and moved, but nothing's in the right place. It's like your footstool moved and you trip over it. Or like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Wonderful. Yay.
And happy anniversary, you guys, or happy 100th episode.
Oh, thanks.
100th
Wait, I had
100th episode.
I had to put on.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, cute.
Well, Speaking of 100th episode, we're almost to the top of the hour here. We're at 8:55. So I just want to welcome in if you've come in since the beginning of the show. We are celebrating the 100th episode of the Witching Hours tonight with medium Jenny Lee, Alyson Wonderland, and Mark Hunter Brooks. And here in a little bit, we're going to get into a topic that we want to discuss tonight concerning thought forms. We've talked about that on the show before, but we want to get into that a little bit more tonight. But first,
We have fun things.
yeah, we have a couple fun things. We have some stuff we're gonna do some giveaways, but I guess this would be a good time, maybe Jenny, to go ahead and show. You know how me and Jenny do. We make videos.
Yep.
So we're got a little special treat for you guys.
Special video for the 100th episode.
All right. Oh,
And
It's not showing up.
go.
There we go. All right, here we go. Can you guys hear the video?
Mm-mm.
No. Am I having problems again? Give me a second. So much mess tonight.
You've only done this 100 times before.
I know. And now it's completely whacked out. Let's try it again. There we go. Still no? All right. Let me close it down. We've never had this problem before. I don't have no clue what's going on.
You can see it, Keisha, but you can't hear it.
Did I mention Mercury is retrograde?
I mean, it's wild because we do this all the time.
What the hell?
All right, maybe I
Why?
wasn't doing something right in the
Why?
present.
Why is everything going to be all messed up?
It may be on a different audio than the one you're on.
It very possibly could be. Let me try doing it a different way, and maybe maybe I can get it done this way.
Take two.
There you go.
But I guess, Jenny, do you want to go ahead and start with the news?
Yes.
And my favorite news story of the week is a giant meatball of extinct mammoth unveiled in the Netherlands.
What the
I heard
hell?
about this.
What?
A meatball made of lab-grown mammoth meat was unveiled at a science museum in the Netherlands on Tuesday.
Are
Bao,
we really using our science just to make meatballs?
Tastes like chicken.
Lord, people.
story number 4, ancient mud cracks on Mars point to conditions favorable for life. Surface patterns suggest the planet had an early climate.
Let me look at your mud cracks.
Sustained wet, dry cycling.
Let me have a look at your mud cracks. You got any life in the mud cracks? Perhaps your mud cracks had a coronal mass ejection. I swear I haven't been drinking today. I'm just drinking water.
All right, so the first story I have today is nearly half of the nation's tap water contains PFAs, a new study finds. Americans living in urban areas at more are most at risk. Nearly half of the tap water in the United States is estimated to have at least one type of polyfluoroalkyl substance, or PFAS. A new national study from the U.S. Geological Survey released Tuesday. The group of chemicals commonly used in consumer products like non-stick cookware linings of fast food boxes have been linked to human illnesses like cancer, low birth weight, and thyroid disease.
Gross.
So
But they still
should
have
be
a
calling
scientific name.
The galaxy's NG1756W.2.
Well, that's what scientists are calling it, so they know how to locate
Exactly,
it.
because they have no imagination. Sorry, science people.
Jeez.
That one's going to be called Cotton Candy Galaxy. Anyway, continue.
It's located 240 million light years away. They're looking 240 million years into the past
Yeah.
at a galaxy that they're
Gotta go
supposing.
back in time.
One is that the gravitational interaction with the surrounding medium within the galaxy cluster in which the galaxy is situated has stripped out the dark matter. The other is that the dark matter was driven out of the system when the galaxy formed by the merging of proto-galactic fragments, which gave rise to the relic galaxy. There is a woman who was on Coast to Coast at one point in time. She was a guest on there with Art Bell. But she claims that she was the original writer of both stories, that The Matrix and that the Terminator movies were all things that she had written back in like the 70s or whatever, and that basically her story was stolen and turned into Hollywood scripts. But that essentially The Matrix was a sequel to her original stories, which were like the Terminator thing. So you have, I'm gonna blank here and forget the names, but you have John Connor, right, who is the person who grows up to fight the machines and like the AI and everything. Whose initials are JC, right?
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Like that's what she talked about. And then you have The Matrix, which is essentially John Connor, or Neo, the one who comes out of the Matrix to end up finally killing all of the machines. And so if you follow like the Terminator 1, Terminator 2, and then you go into the Matrix series, it's actually one big, huge story that has like this religious kind of overtone to John Connor being kind of the savior of the story or whatever. And ever since I heard that interview, and I actually looked it up not that long ago, I've been fascinated with the concept of like doing like a marathon where we just watch those specific in order and think of it as one narrative.
For those listening on the podcast, the last little bit was all the names of all the guests that we've had on. And that's why there was so much silence, because it was a lot of guests. Wow, to see them all at the same time. That was so fun.
Yeah. I mean, so many. I was like, when I was trying to come up with the idea for the video, I was like, what are we going to do? Like, I guess 100 shows to go through. And I don't know. The weird news seems to be a fun topic, and to kind of go through and be able to show so many
Everybody
people.
makes weird faces on this show.
So they can make weird faces to Frosty explaining the Matrix Terminators.
John Connor. No.
It was so fun.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's a lot of guests we've had on there. There's no way I could fit every guest onto it, but we've had an absolutely wonderful time. being able to do to be able to do this and to be able to have so many amazing guests, which is really what the show is all about. All these wonderful people that we've had to be able to have on the show to come talk about so many things. I mean, you can't even name all the topics that we've talked about on here, and there's still so much. Every week we do the show. It's like, we would love to have someone on to talk about this. So,
I mean, our last episode, we just made a list of things we haven't talked about yet that were things we want to talk about more. Yeah, there's a lot of things.
So stick around. We're going to have some more conversation here in just a minute. And we're also going to do some giveaways tonight. So stick around. We're going to check out the new Witching Hours merch store. And there'll be a couple people who get some giveaways tonight. So we'll be doing that a little bit later. But the first thing we wanted to talk about, we want to make sure we get to tonight, is the idea of thought forms. I guess if you're not familiar with the idea of thought forms, who would like to explain that? Do you want to talk about that, Mark?
Sure. I'm glad you asked that question. So I have a quote from Napoleon Hill, who was the author of Think and Grow Rich, and he said, "Thoughts are things, and powerful things at that, when they're mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire." And an easy way to think about thought forms is to think about someone's speech. There's three different components to giving a speech. There's material itself, there's the clarity with which it's delivered, and then there's the emotion that's behind it. And you have something similar with thought forms, where you have a visualization of what you want to happen. You have an intention behind it, what your intention is. And then you have a concentration or focus, which is the clarity with which you give to it. And you see thought forms in intercessory prayer. When you have individuals or groups that will pray for someone who's had an accident or who's ill. And it's also the same different characteristics that go into spell casting too. And I was saying that to draw attention to the fact that, and this has been my platform the whole time, is that it's science. It's nothing weird or woo-woo or whatever. There's a different kind of science out there that the particle physicists, the quantum mechanics physicists, everyone who's doing all these different things. I say it's wave-based, and actually 5-dimensional wave-based, but it's not unusual and it's not strange. It's actually science. And that people can actually do thought forms. And that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We've had I think you made a good point there, because thought forms are interesting, because if you can create, and I think one of the things you talked about there was talking about ancient religion. I guess any religion to a certain degree can create something into being, then that would essentially mean that it almost, to some degree, it doesn't matter like who's right, because through human creativity, all these things could possibly exist, right?
Right. And I'll throw this out and not follow up on it, but I'll leave it out there. Maybe we can come back to it later. Is that when people create thought forms with their thoughts, they're actually creating things, and it'll create things in the non-physical dimensions, the astral dimension and the mental dimension. But you can also manifest things with thought forms and create that in the physical dimension. There's actually 3 classes of thought forms. One is the one that I just explained, or just gave examples of, and then there's another one that's actually manifesting individuals. If you wanted to bilocate, if you had a real strong desire to be somewhere, you could have your apparition appear in a remote location that people could see. Or if you had a strong enough thought with strength of force behind it, you could actually grab some matter and materialize that. The same thing with trees or landscapes or whatever. And they say the Theosophical Society books on the astral plane, they talk about how you have greater powers as an astral being, and you'll be able to manifest things more readily in the upper upper layers of the sixth, seventh, and eighth layer, or sixth and seventh layer of the astral. But what the point I wanted to make is people talk about reality being a hologram, and I wanted to have people consider that reality may be a thought form.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to toss that out there, and I'll just kind of leave it. And as we talk more and more about thought forms, maybe we can come back to it a little bit later. But consider that everything, I mean, it's everything that you see on this video presentation, everything you see around you and all the planets and all the universe is all a thought, is all a manifestation of vibration and clouds of conscious energy.
Well, one of the things that popped in my head when you started talking about that, Mark, was one of my favorite movies from my childhood, which was called The Never-Ending Story. And there's a
Yes.
quote in there from the Childlike Empress where she says, "Why don't you do what you dream?"
Yes.
And that seems to kind of be where my brain goes with this is everything that we see and know and believe just things that humans have created through their dreams, desires, ritual, you know?
And it depends on the strength and the clarity and the intention that you have. If you have a strong focus and a strong sense of concentration, you'll be more likely to have the things that you want to have happen. You know, the prayers, the spells, the whatever. They will happen with the strength of focus and concentration that you give to it, because that's what gives strength to the thought form, and the longevity of it is the clarity of what the thought is.
Yeah, something that has to be repeated. And we've seen that, like, yeah, you're not just going to say it like one time and I guess we're approaching this from a different angle than we kind of have in the past. Typically, when we've talked about thought forms, we've talked about hauntings and ghosts and things like that, where this place is haunted, but this ghost that everybody sees and that they've gotten EVPs for, and people have seen full body apparitions, and like every time you go there, you can find a little, some evidence from paranormal investigators. But then historically, there's nothing to match up. They're like, this person never existed, and so we've seen thought forms exist in that way. But I've never thought about it necessarily in terms of reality, everything being a thought form.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jenny?
We did I think it was one of the private Divine Mother channelings. Somebody asked how was everything created or whatever. And that was her answer. She said, it all started with a thought. And I think that even if you look at the Christian creation story, it's the same thing. It's this consciousness that had an idea, that had a thought, that wanted to make this thing, and so then it did, and just became. I mean, it's all the same. It's all the same idea. The idea that
it's so crazy.
Ideas are things.
I was just thinking, even if you go back to the biblical story, like if you go to the biblical story of creation, like God just speaks the universe into existence.
Because it was a thought. He had a thought that, hey, wouldn't it be cool if there was some light? It's real dark. Bam.
Yeah. Cole Drake just in the beginning, there was thought. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So then if the consciousness could make something just by thinking it, then we're also consciousness. We could do the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, this concept isn't completely foreign. I mean, we don't have undeniable evidence of spirits. For people who believe they have the evidence that they need. For the scientific world, we haven't met that level yet. But for being a paranormal a show and doing paranormal investigation, we've run into thought forms before. So for me, like the idea of a thought form is kind of an established thing for me. So to expand it to that is really, really intriguing, Mark.
Okay. And I wanted to add, I talked about this 3 different classes. There's 3 different types of this third class where I talked about, the strength of or your focus, your intention, and your visualization. There's 3 different types of those types of thought forms. And one is where you do a thought for someone else. It could be the intercessory prayer of who you're praying for. It could be, if you're trying to do something for somebody else. That's one thing. But then your intention, your intention plays into that too, as to whether you're doing it for yourself or for other people. And the we can talk about that a little bit later. But you have thought forms that go to other people, and then thought forms that are just placed out in general into the world, where you talk about maybe world hunger or peace or world peace or whatever. And those thoughts will go out until they find a person that the thought resonates with, and then the exact thought actually goes into their brain, so that you're propagating thoughts that way. And the third class or third type that I wanted to talk about is thoughts that you think about yourself. And what happens to those thought forms is they hover around you, and they come back on you when you're in a relaxing moment. So if you think positive things about yourself, or if you think negative things about yourself, your thoughts are things, and they will hang around you and come back on you when you're not at your best. So you need to be careful with not only your ego and your emotions controlling that. You need to think about your thoughts as well. And an example of this one was Masaru Emoto, the hidden messages in water, if you all know about that, where he did this experiment with Japanese elementary school kids and the cylinders of rice and water. And the cylinder of rice that they said positive things to, in 3 weeks, it became a pleasant aroma and malted. The one they said bad things to, it rotted. But the one they didn't do anything to, which was the control for the experiment, rotted first before anything else.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it was just the point I was going to make was be careful of what you think. And it's even just an instant. You could have, if you're trying to manifest something or whatever, I know you may have had instances to where you just have an instant of a thought, to say an instant of a doubt, and it just knocks down everything. But if you think and you're consistent and you know that this will happen, you can bring that about. But those are the different types and different classes of thought forms.
We had kind of a question comment here from Cole Drake, which was this brings up, why isn't everyone in the world creating with their thoughts? So cats fall out of the sky, we all win the lottery, etc.
Well, when I hear that, I sit there and think about all the things on the news and on YouTube, all the negativity that's going on, and the thought forms that are being generated as a result of that. And then also when you get things on a massive scale, you may have heard this word egregore, egregore.
Yeah.
That's like if you go to a soccer stadium or a football stadium and you have two sides that are both rooting for their team, you're creating egregores, on both sides. And the same thing with if you go to a cathedral that's hundreds of years old, and you go there for a worship service or whatever, there's an egregore inside that building that you can attach to if you want to link up with it as well. Even with different books that have been around for a long time, there's an egregore attached to that you can link up with. And Rupert Sheldrake's morphic resonance, I don't know if you talked about that. That's getting back to the egregore that's part of different things in nature as well, if we want to talk about that. But that's what Cole's comment sent me off. And I think it's dangerous too, that there's so much negativity going around, and there needs to be more positivity.
Yes.
And we need to, as part of this whole thing with thought forms, is say, be careful what you think, but also be positive about what you think, both for yourself and for other people.
Yeah.
Any well, I guess my answer, Cole Drake, to that would be I believe that in order to be able to create a thought form, um, I would say thought form, and I also put magic into this category. That you have to believe,
Hmm.
like it has to be a concerted belief that this is going to happen or that this exists,
Also
and it
needs
has to
the
be repeated.
emotion behind it.
And so I don't know
Mhm.
how, yeah, Jenny. And so I
Mhm.
don't know how many people
Like
are,
we could say cats are falling out of the sky all day,
yeah,
but if you're just saying it,
you have to believe that cats fall out of the
we
sky,
don't want
and it
cats falling
applies
out
in
of the
that,
sky,
yeah,
though,
we don't want
Cole.
them, no, for sure. And
No,
I
we don't want any hurt cats. I mean, I know they
yeah,
can land on their feet, but
yeah.
Yeah.
What say you, Allison? Do you have any thoughts on thought forms, experiences with thought forms?
Well, I agree with what you guys are all saying, and I love Masaru Emoto's work, and I just love the images. He has his own oracle deck of the images of
Mhm.
or the
Mm,
molecules of water
oh, really?
that
I
look
didn't know
like
that.
Mhm. Very
snowflakes.
pretty.
Um, I think what the moon can teach us is it helps us to um, like look at our thoughts and examine those thoughts and allow because like the moon reflects our emotions back at us. So I think it can help bring those emotions and thoughts to the surface because a lot of our thoughts are so deeply subconscious that we don't even know that we're speaking negatively to ourselves. So I think having that
True.
reflection and once you notice them, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know I was saying these negative things to myself," and bringing that awareness to like catch it when you do it and switch that
yeah.
to something more positive.
Yeah, which is one of the things that I've said many times, I guess, on the show is that's why, when we talk about magic specifically, and we talk about our spirituality, religion, and we talk about prayer, and we talk about really ritual. And I think that is the component of ritual because I could I guess we know if you've gone down the rabbit hole with this, you know that you can make the magic. You don't need to do anything. You don't got to light any candles. You don't have to have an altar. You don't have to have a prayer. You don't have to kneel down in front of a priest. You don't have none of those things necessarily are required to manifest. But if the ritual helps you believe that the
Mhm.
manifestation is going to happen, then that's why
Or the
ritual can be so
ritual
important.
is something that provides a lot of people to do it at the same time.
Mm.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone doing the same thing with the same intention.
Mhm.
Yeah, a coven, like whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Lynn McTaggart wrote a book, The Power of Eight, that you may or may not have read, but she had the best example of doing group intercessory prayer. And then she also had thousands of people concentrating on ending a war, a 25-year war in Sri Lanka, that they focused on that for like a month. And 8 months later, the war ended, which was interesting. And it had gone on 25 years. But she
Like,
wrote about that
if
in her
we
book.
could just do that, if we could just get enough people to do that with all the things that are
Mm,
wrong in the
the
world, you know?
positivity.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the
We
problems.
could change everything. And that's what spirit keeps trying to tell us, and we just I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you see it. People are attracted to the negative. The
Yeah.
negative headlines. Um, if I put a clip out from the show and I have, maybe we should do that as an experiment one week. Put the same short
Same
out
exact clip, but
TikTok.
one has a
Same exact
negative
one has a
title and one
negative
has a
headline
positive.
and one has a positive
Do our own
headline
scientific experiment.
and see which one gets more clicks
You
because
have to have
I
a
am
control though too. You gotta have one that's
yeah.
just neutral.
And because I feel like overall just from videos that we've released and watching what
Ones that
friends
get
release.
popular.
The ones that
Yeah.
have a negative headline tend to do a lot better. And it's like one of those things that we fight against. It's like we're trying to keep things positive. We want to have we're out here having fun, and we want to talk about this stuff, but also laugh. And but that's not always necessarily what gets the clicks.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Thought forms.
Mm-mm-mm.
So
Thought
so I
forms.
I had a couple quotes for you too that you
Okay.
might find
Tell
interesting.
us. Tell us.
Annie Besant, who's a theosophist, one of the early theosophists in the late 1800s, early 1900s, she wrote a book called Thought Forms, where she actually tried to put some detail or wrap some detail around it. And she had this quote talking about a thought of love and a desire to protect. If this thought of love and of a desire to protect is directed strongly towards some beloved object, it creates a form which goes to the person thought of and remains in his or her aura as a shielding and protecting agent. It will seek all opportunities to serve and all opportunities to defend, not by a conscious and deliberate action, but by a blind following out of the impulse impressed upon it. And it will strengthen friendly forces that impinge on the aura and weaken unfriendly ones. Thus, we may create and maintain veritable guardian angels round those we love. And many a mother's prayer for a distant child thus circles round him or her, though she knows not the method by which her prayer is answered. And
That's
so Annie
beautiful.
Besant was saying that was a thought form, that you really can create a guardian angel around someone who's away from home that you think of dearly.
That's really beautiful.
Hmm.
I like that a lot.
That is sweet. I like that.
Yeah. And here's another one, and it's about music. So this may get Frosty excited.
Okay.
So this was by Preston Nichols, and he wrote The Music of Time, and he was active in the Montauk Project, and
I know that name. Yeah.
he was a sound engineer for Bell Sound in New York in the 60s and 70s, and Bell Sound was the largest independent recording studio in the country. So he actually talked about thought forms in his book, and that's what I wanted to mention in here, because I found something that was pretty interesting, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys. So Preston, talking about thought forms, he said, there are actually two thought inputs into a sound system when a recording is made. And this includes what can be termed as the psychic input of the musicians as well as that of the performer. So the performer and the musician can impinge or put on thought forms onto the recording, just like you record the sound and the music or the percussion from the instruments. You can record the thought form, thought vibrations as well. He said, sound waves are part of the electromagnetic spectrum. It's the electromagnetic function which is the key. Thought forms also make their own impingement on the electromagnetic background of the universe. So I had a question, because rumor has it, Frosty, that the creativity that went into this clip that you just published had a circular impact, because behind you have 5 guitars.
Yeah.
And rumor has it that you serenade medium Jenny Lee every night with a different guitar, and she produces magnificent pieces of art which inspires you to do these clips. And I just wondered, is that a thought form, or is that the emotion and the smoky singing that you do?
I think Jenny stopped listening to me play guitar about 20 years ago, but I don't play guitar that much anymore. I write. I don't know. Like, we've never combined our art in my music before. A little bit. You used to do like logos for some of my early bands. And
Yeah, I took photos and created stuff for your bands. Yeah.
Yeah, we've done some of that. But yeah, no serenading. I've learned some songs for Jenny a long time ago. I would learn some of her favorite songs and play them for her, and then she would like, I don't know what that is, and then just
He's been asking me since 1996. I'm going to play this. Do you know what it is? And I'll be like, nope. It's too much pressure. It's too much pressure.
I love it. Well, Preston, in his book, The Music of Time, On page 26, he talked about Chubby Checker and the Twist. He actually was the sound engineer for that, or in some of the first recordings for that. He was very involved with a lot of big bands, especially with his work at Bell Sound. But he said, for those of you who are too young to remember the Twist, it was a huge fad and started a new trend in pop music. It was the only record other than White Christmas to reach #1 on the charts 2 different times.
Wow.
One reason it caught on as a fad, and this is the important part, has to do with a very esoteric principle in sound recording. In fact, it has been a closely guarded secret until now, but we'll talk about it in detail in his book.
Mm.
And what do you think that closely regarded secret was?
I don't know. Something to do with the intention and behind during the recording. I don't know.
I don't know. So on page 42, he has some comments about while he was at Bell Sound. He said, as the hits began to roll out of Buddha Records, which was a company that he helped found with some other of his buddies, and Bell Sound, he became known as Little Buddha. He said, I logged about 2,000 hours of studio time, and about 200 of the songs I engineered made it into the top 40, which was a very good rate.
Yeah.
And he said, it became the thing to make a recording at Bell Sound East in New York with Little Buddha, with him. So here's his discussion that he talks about what he was doing. And this was on page 49 of the book. He says, as my work at and he worked at Brookhaven Labs, which was like a front, or worked with the Montauk Project and stuff too. So he says, as my work at Brookhaven occurred during my heyday at Bell Sound, I believe they hired me so that I could put thought forms on the recordings I was doing in the rock world.
Yeah.
I do remember literally encoding thought forms into the music in what could best be called an electromagnetic telepathy of subtle energies. As the recordings were being transferred to the tapes, I concentrated on the heads of the tape recorder in order to place a thought form on the tapes. If you want to encode a thought form, all you have to do is listen to the music that's being copied and concentrate on the playback machine heavily. By grooving along on the music, but also concentrating on the thought form, you get a parametric impression on that tape of the thought form.
So what kinds of things was he putting on there? Was it good things?
And that's
Bad
a good
things?
question. That's a good question. He said, we put thought forms into the music mainly to make people respond. At the recording studio, I literally compressed thought forms that people responded to in particular ways. One of the most simple thought forms projected were to make certain rock groups popular.
Yeah,
We
that's what I was
simply
thinking.
we
Spell
simply
the
put a thought-
records.
we simply put a thought form on the recording that you would want to hear it again. And once you heard the song over a transistor radio, the thought form would go out to buy the record and play it over and over again until it was worn out.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
Bell Sound was the largest independent recording studio in the U.S., and a lot of big bands wanted to play with them. So this one thing, a lot of people discount Preston Nichols because he talks about a lot of paranormal and strange things when he talks about the Montauk Project and things that happened there. But I ran across another website where a fellow named Steve Hoffman in December of 2002, he was talking about Bell Sound Studios, and he said, another thing that Bell did that still drives mastering engineers crazy is that they redubbed everything needlessly. If a mixed master tape, such as Ray Charles' Modern Sounds and Country Western Music, came in being recorded and mixed at United or Capitol, Bell Sound redubbed it anyway and marked their crappy redub master and put do not use on the perfectly fine sounding original mixes, with the result that these were the tapes that were dumped or thrown in a heap somewhere. Yes, this is the famous do not use that screwed up a generation of vault people. Bell did this a lot. And then he also said, at any rate, when Bell Sound closed in the 1970s, they threw in the trash all of their vaulted material without so much as a thought. He says, I'm talking about hundreds of reels of tape here. So, but it makes you wonder that Bell Sound was putting thought forms on the tapes, and they were doing that to get rid of.
I wonder to a certain degree, Mark, because you're talking about putting thought forms down as like a producer, someone working as a sound engineer.
Yeah.
But I have to imagine, just going from my experience as a musician and recording albums, in a lot of way, it is ritualistic, and there is a lot of manifesting through the recording process, and not just manifesting in terms of like your hopes and dreams for that album or that song or that chorus or whatever it is, but also through the lyrics. Because there's usually an intent with the lyrics, and a lot of times there's an intent with the lyric. And so it wouldn't surprise me one bit. And so not only do you have it happening from that side with the studio and the sound engineer, but you have it, I would imagine you have a lot of thought forms that are being put through just through the music itself, through the musicians,
So he went a little bit further too. He was actually one of 5 sound engineers on Star Wars. So, and he said and this is on page 102 of The Music of Time that Preston Nichols and Peter Moon wrote. Said, when they actually filmed Star Wars, I literally saw 2 psychics or adepts who were concentrating on the camera as it was running. They were putting some sort of psychic overlay on the film. I recognized what they were doing because it was similar to what I had done with music recordings. I assumed that Lucas learned the technique on his own. Although it's not necessarily known to the public at large, it's not really a big secret that you can put images on film, audio tape, and phonograph records, and I believe this is why Star Wars achieved such unprecedented popularity.
Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Wonder what
You'll
you
like
think about
this film.
Yeah. So all this music that you've seen people react to, and all the videos and movies that you've seen people react to, even all the stuff on TV and some of the reactions we have in the country now. You wonder, is that just a natural, organic thing, or is that a thought form that people put out?
It also makes me think of the opposite, where people who are making things that, like, they want to be successful, but in their mind, they don't believe they're going to be successful, that they self-sabotage themselves by inadvertently putting out thought forms that it's not going to work.
Doubt. And you hear that so much.
Yeah.
I kind of got to an interesting part as a musician, because my band got onto a label, and like I got to play with really big bands, and so I got to, some of the people I was with, like, quote unquote, made it. And it's really interesting, because you kind of get into this thing where everybody's good. Everybody is writing, good music. Everyone is on the same level, and some people make it and some people don't. I firmly believe that probably the best band that ever existed never got signed to a record label. And I think a lot of that comes down to that. Like, if you have some people just know they're going to make it. You hear the story, there's no way. Like, for instance, the person who pops into mind is like Freddie Mercury. Right? Like, confident, like no one was going to tell him that he wasn't going to be a huge rock star. Like, it was just going to happen.
Yeah.
Prince was going to be a huge, star. It didn't matter. No one was going to tell him any differently. But then if you're someone who writes really good music, but you're just not quite sure if you have what it takes, then, there you go. It's manifesting thought form right there. Like, I think that's very true.
Yeah.
Or the bands, I don't know how many times I've heard of a band that it was their last effort. They had put out a couple albums and nothing happened. And so now they were going to put out their third album. And if it didn't hit, they were going to quit and go get a job at the post office or whatever. And boom, it's like they didn't doubt anymore. They're just like, whatever happens. And they didn't care as much. And so there wasn't as much doubt with it. I don't know. But that's very interesting.
That happens with people trying to have children and they can never have a child. Then they put in the adoption paperwork and they're like,
Oops.
Yeah,
adopting a kid, and then all of a sudden they get
pregnant. Boom.
That
Yeah.
happens a lot too.
But music is
Yeah.
really interesting. Music is really interesting for not only the discussion of thought forms, but something we've discussed before too, which is string theory and the idea of vibration.
Mhm.
And I really do think that music itself just can have. I think it has a much bigger impact than the average person would think. Not just on you, but the people who are listening. The people who encounter the music.
Right. And
Yeah.
and for good as well as bad,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
for light as well as dark.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I've heard people talk about how music is the way to reach the most people the quickest
Yeah.
worldwide, if you want to go worldwide.
Well, I mean, how many times has, well, I guess that would make a lot of sense, but to a certain degree, like how many times is revolution led by music? Like whenever there's an era of revolution, there's like a song or an anthem that goes along with it, I don't know.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
When you think of Les Miserables,
Mhm.
and that was, what should I say? I want to say there was music associated with the French Revolution, but that's probably just because I went to see the play on Broadway.
Yeah.
But
I was thinking of like the 1960s, you get a lot of,
oh yeah,
there was definitely a soundtrack to what
Mhm.
was going on,
and there was a lot of music associated with the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah. But the idea, I've thought about that a lot, like vibration, uh, emotion, what you're putting energy into, but I had never quite thought of music creating thought forms, but that does make a lot of sense.
I mean, thoughts are things. Everything can make a thought form.
Mm.
What are you
There-
gonna say,
there's,
Allison?
there's got to be so many different layers to music. There's got to be like the how you were feeling when you wrote it, how you were feeling when you recorded it. Now what Mark is saying about the engineer and the producers and the thought forms that they're putting on it, and then like Frosty is saying, the frequency and the vibration. I think there's levels. There's got to be
Mhm.
all of those combined,
For sure.
creating a
Yeah.
giant, a giant who knows what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, but it plays such a huge part. It plays such a huge part in so many things that it doesn't surprise me at all. And a song can change your mood. It's like I mean, how many people they have a bad day and they put on like a good song that cheers them up on the
Mhm.
drive home, and then they're a little bit better of a mood. Or you're just kind of having a normal day, and then that song comes through that kind of causes for your eyes to tear up a little bit. I
Yeah.
mean, songs can just hit that emotion and kind of change your mood, and I guess to a certain degree that's the thought of the person who created that music influencing you.
It also
Yeah.
makes me think about like when you hear the album and you're like, oh, that was an okay album. And then you hear it live and it's just so much
Mhm.
different.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then yeah, for sure. And I think that there's a lot that goes into that. I had another thought, but it escaped me. So
It's out there somewhere. It'll come back to you.
it's the thought. It's now it's
It's
just a
floating
thought.
around. You're gonna be trying to go to sleep tonight. It's gonna land on you, and you're gonna be
It
like,
will.
Oh no.
dang it, that's what I was gonna say. Well, Frosty, I think it's about time for us to do our giveaways.
Yeah, do a couple giveaways. Well, let's do this first because we'll do a little thing here. So I'm gonna whisk everybody away for a second. Let me bring up our website here, and I'm going to see if this works better. Boop, boop.
Where did we go?
Where'd you go?
We got
That's what I needed
away.
to do. That's what I needed to do for
Yes,
the
when we watched
for
the
the
video
movie.
earlier.
I know
Mhm.
I was but here we go. We have the Witching Hours webpage here, if you go down over to the thing, you can hit up the merch store. And if this works right, it does. It takes you to the brand new. Oh, it doesn't show me scroll though. So that's not going to work. But if you go there, it'll take you to the merch store. But that doesn't do any good because it doesn't show you.
It scrolls on the right-hand side, I think, doesn't it? There's a scroll bar there.
Yeah, I'm scrolling it on my screen, but it's not
But it
showing the
doesn't
scroll
show
on
up
theirs.
over here. Well, can you just open up the merch store page?
That's what I did.
Well,
It
it's not
is.
showing up
open.
on. It's not showing
Yeah.
up on here.
Oh, you know what? I probably have to do this. I
Is it
probably
a
have to
different window?
stop sharing that, and then I'm gonna have to present the new window that I just
Yeah, that's what I was
opened
going to say.
is what's going to happen there.
You gotta click the other window.
There we go.
There you go.
So that's a new store. We did the fourth wall. We have been talking about it. I know Jenny's going to be designing a new store there, and so this store just went live. So you can go here, click on the Explore collection, and it will take you to everything we have. We got Witching Hour patches. We have the UFO mug. We have a desktop pad. Want to get weird? Beanies, T-shirts, mugs in different colors. All of those things, all new merch, more things that we can add as we go along. But I wanted to try out this store and kind of see what was going on because it creates. I think the cool thing about this is it gives you more. We just have more things that we can do with the store. Like people can gift merch and stuff through Twitch chat, and we can attach it to the YouTube channel and things like that. And it also allows me to do this. Currently, right now, if you click that link, there is a 10% off. So if you click the link, it will take you to the merch store. If you want anything on there, you can get 10% off in celebration of the 100th episode. So what we're going to do tonight is we are going to give away something on the store. So we have patches, mugs, desk pads, beanies, T-shirts, coffee mugs. And so if you win tonight, I'll let you choose. The winner can choose what they want off the store, and we will have it shipped to you. So how do we want to do this, Jenny? Do you have a wheel?
I have my wheel of names. Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to do 2 giveaways. This is the first one. So if you would like to enter the giveaway, no matter whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Twitch, no matter whether you're on Facebook, wherever you are, as long as you're here live, if you're listening to us next week, unfortunately, you missed out. But if you're here live, we'll have you put something in chat to enter the giveaway. What do we want to put in there? Let's do
Frosty, does the fourth wall ship internationally?
Let me check. I'm pretty sure it does.
In the chat, just put
It lets you convert it to a bunch of different currencies, so I would assume so.
Yes.
so even if you live, Luna, in a different country, you can enter to win because I'm sure they ship from your side of the ocean.
Fourth Wall offers international shipping, and they have fulfillment centers in the United States,
Luna,
UK, EU, Canada, Mexico, Australia, and Japan. So you can ship all around the world.
So say something in the chat. Let me know you want to get in.
Weird. Type weird into the chat. Type weird.
I want Liz said I want in. Let me know. I'm putting your name in the wheel. Who else? Weird. Keisha. I got Luce. I got Keisha. Who else? CMC. May of Autumn.
And while we're doing this, I wanted to say too, speaking of thought forms, me and Ginny have encountered a thought form on a paranormal investigation that we did at the Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park,
which is where we're going in June.
And it just so happens that we are going to be at the Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park in June 7th through 8th with the Team Weird Takeover, our first
Woohoo.
gathering, con, whatever we want to call it. We already have a bunch of people who have bought tickets who are going to be out there hanging out with us in June. The first week, I think it's the first weekend of June, the 7th and 8th.
Yes.
We're going to be there, and you can purchase your tickets to go to the witchinghourspodcast.com, go to the Team Weird Takeover, and you can buy 2 different ticket types. You can buy the regular ticket, and that'll get you into Team Weird Takeover, and it will get you everything you need. We're going to have pizza, tacos. We're going to do a gallery reading. Ginny might be tempted into doing a channeling. We're going to do some paranormal investigation. We're going to do crafts with Alyson and Luce. We're going to have a blast. We're going to hang out. So you can go there and you can buy your ticket. And then there's also another option to buy the merch package. And that is the same exact thing. You get everything in, except we are going to custom order some merch specifically for the Team Weird Takeover.
But that ends soon. I believe the 17th is the last day to order
Yeah.
the merch package.
So if you want the merch package, you're going to have to be have that in by the next week or so. But no matter what, the other ticket gets you into everything. The merch package just gets you a bag full of
Extra
goodies.
stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I have Luce, Keisha, CMC, May, and Journey. Is there anybody else that wanted in on the new merch giveaway? Shadow Max, I saw you did an alien face, but does that mean you want in on the giveaway? Anybody else? Luce, Keisha, CMC, May,
Luna.
and Journey.
And
Luna. Got you. I got Luna. Anybody else? Okay, Shadow Max.
Obviously.
I got you, Luna. Okay, we got Luce, Keisha, CMC, May, Journey, Luna, and Shadow Max. Okay. Let me share my screen. Anybody else? Keisha wants to know if Alyson wants in.
I've got my loyal to the foil shirt. I'm good.
Luce is also very upset that the loyal to the foil merch is not in the new merch store, Frosty. So you may have to have another round of putting things.
Oh no,
in there.
I haven't. I just haven't gotten everything. There's a bunch of stuff I want to add. I just putting it together.
All right, here we go. It says subwheel. Don't pay attention to that. It's Keisha.
There we go. Yay, Keisha.
Woo!
Keisha, just message me in Discord, or if you know what you want, you can let us know now so everybody can know what you got. But if you don't know, just let me know in Discord what you want and if size or color is applicable.
Yes.
Oh, my shirt goes to Luna, please.
Oh, Keisha's giving the gift to
There we go,
Luna. Luna,
All
you
right,
get
Luna.
to pick then. Luna, let us know what you want.
Check out the store, and if you want a loyal to the foil shirt, let us know because I'll be getting that in the store.
And it doesn't have to be a shirt. It can be any of the items in
loyal to the foil.
Any of the items in the merch shop. You just have to let us know what it is.
Yep. Sounds good. Excellent.
Luna said, wait,
confused.
what?
What?
Keisha gave her win to you, Luna. Oh, Lucen, you had a secret pact.
There you
Luna
go.
was going to get it. Okay. All right. We have one more giveaway to do before we hit the road for the night. I am going to be gifting someone a past life reading. Past life reading.
There we go. Past life reading from medium Jenny Lee.
So now you got to put something else in the chat.
Clock.
A clock?
Type clock into chat. Clock.
This could get
Yeah, it's
dangerous.
what's behind you. Clock. I was going to say TikTok, but you don't like TikTok, so we'll put clock in there instead. A past life reading.
Yep.
Can I enter?
No. Okay, we got Journey, we got Luce, It might be the same people.
Mhm. More
CMC,
than likely.
May. Luna, you just got something. Luna, you won already.
Cole Drake.
Cole. Right. Go on now, get. All right, anybody else? I got May, Luce, CMC, Journey, and Cole. Did I miss anybody? Speak now. I'm going to share my screen again. It still says Subwheel. Don't look at it. Oh, Lars. Okay, we're putting Lars in. He's making bread. Okay. It's all right, Luna. Okay, last call. Past life reading. Luna, don't forget to let us know what merch item you want and size and or color, depending on what it is. All right, May, Lars, Journey, CMC, Cole, Luce. This is for the past life. It'll be a video. I will make you a video. I will send it to you.
Wonderful. I always love past life readings. Past life regressions are great.
Oh,
It's
Lars. Lars making the bread. Got the past life reading. Congratulations, Lars. And congratulations, Luna.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yay.
Love being able to give out some stuff. So thank you guys so much.
Past life
Baker.
Mark, what do you have going on now? What's up with you? Got any new news? Are you working on anything new?
I've been doing more experiential stuff. So
that's what you said last time too.
Yeah, I know. I'm still doing that, and it was going back to what I was saying earlier. Is the skeptics are going to be skeptical no matter what, so you aren't going to convince them.
That's true.
It's really the people who have had spiritual experiences who are going to be the ones who want to hear, and they'll be the ones that'll listen to this as well.
Exactly.
So I've been focusing more on experiences and doing more inner work and things like that. That's where I've been at lately.
Do you see another book in your future at some point?
Yes, that's why I've been researching thought forms.
Oh, cool.
Excellent.
So that and ascension and the rapture and the transfiguration and some of those things too. I have a wave-based answer for it.
Awesome.
So that's for another time though.
That's in the future.
Wonderful. Well,
topics for the next book.
The idea was to have so much information or so many observations that you couldn't summarily dismiss what I wanted to say. That was the whole idea. So it just keeps coming. I get 2 or 3 ideas every morning and I have to write them down in a half an hour or they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way it's been for 10 years.
I understand that. Mm-hmm. Keisha's putting some pressure on you. We want you back sooner. So apparently you got to start writing your book now.
Okay, there you go. maybe when it's published.
I'm sure we'll have you on before that happens. Alyson, you got anything coming up? What's going on for you?
Nothing.
You had your stream last night. How'd that go? I didn't get to see it. Or wasn't last night. It was the night before, I think.
Stream went good.
I lost my streak.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. You can always start over.
I'm going to have to start over, yeah.
Well, I will have the link down below, whether you, when you're listening to us in another time, in another place, for the Just a Phase Moon Planner. So make sure you go pick one of those up, especially if you've enjoyed the monthly updates, so you can follow along with what's going on with the moon.
And it's undated.
And it's undated, so you can use it
anytime.
Anytime.
There we go. Undated Moon Planner. Yeah, that was great. So you can pick up and follow along.
Yes.
That'd be great. And all those links for the links for that and for Mark Hunter Brooks and his book are going to be listed in the description of the video down below. I guess I'll let everybody know coming up on the show next week, we're going to have Dennis Eslock. He's from the Cabin on 360. I'm going to be going to the Cabin Con. I'm not going to have a table there. I'm just going to go there and hang out a little bit and see friends in the paranormal world. But he represents the Cabin on 360. He owns that. It's a cabin out not too far from where we're at, but it's an old cabin on a Civil War battlefield.
We'll have to ask him if he's got any thought forms there.
Yeah, and so that's going to be interesting to talk about the Cabin on 360. The Thursday after that, we're going to have Heidi Kemper on, who is another psychic medium that we met at the Hanover Tavern Paracon. And then on the 24th of April, we're going to have Ron Iacovetti and Lourdes Gonzalez on to talk about Staticom, which is kind of like, kind of like a spirit box,
spirit
but
box without the radio.
Without the
waves.
radio, it's just white noise. And they get a lot of interesting stuff. So we'll take a look at the Staticom and listen to some of the things that they found on there and talk about the science behind it. So a lot of interesting shows still coming your way.
Yeah.
Episode 101, right?
Yeah. Yay. Thank you all for being here
Yeah.
for episode 100.
Congratulations on 100 episodes.
Thank you.
There you go. Get your merch too.
Yep.
There you go.
And thank you, Alyson. Thank you, Mark, for being on our 100th episode.
Yeah, thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you.
All right. Well, for everyone listening at another time in another place, we will see you all next time. And for everyone who's still hanging out with us over here on Twitch or wherever you're watching, we are going to go raid out over on Twitch. I was going to see who's on tonight. Black Sheep Meat is on. Weird Paul is on. And we raid both of those a lot. Good channels we like to follow and good friend and Sheepy. I was kind of looking through the podcast channel to see if there was anybody who was kind of doing our kind of stuff, but I don't know if there's a whole lot of that going on Twitch.
Yeah.
If anyone has any recommendations tonight, that's who I have on my friends list.
I got Goose Town is doing a 5-year stream anniversary. You got one up on me. He's playing some Animal Crossing. Matt Bird's Quest, which is one of Luce and Keisha's new friends, is on.
I have Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yes, that's a good one.
And one of Lou Tierney's speaking of music friends is on. Chilwell Hall. I don't know. Take us away somewhere.
Okay, let's see. Someone said Mr. Charisma is playing retro games. Let's go meet somebody new.
Okay.
100 episodes. We'll go make a new friend tonight. Raid.
What's a Moot Games is playing Jackbox. That's funny.
All right, Jenny, you'll be on tomorrow night?
I think so. We'll see how tomorrow goes. Today was
rough. It goes. Okay.
So see.
Maybe
I'll
see you guys tomorrow night. If not, I'll see you guys next week. Take care, everybody. Good night and bye.